This isn't an entry, but I don't know if you noticed, I didn't upload for 2 days and I didn't have any forewarning about it. And I'm sorry. Something happened over the weekends and I don't really want to talk about it, but just know nothing good, right? I have had this video recording in my files for a long time now, and it's really long. That's the only reason why I haven't uploaded it yet. I thought to make up for 2 days that I was missing, why not, upload this. I'm sorry again that I didn't upload for 2 days. It's been rough. I'm doing fine. I'm just really tired right now. So I hope you guys enjoy. I want to talk about a certain someone today. The second woman in my life ever to have gotten me this fucking bothered. She's from my last school and I will never forget her, I think. Not until the end of my life. The reason I want to talk about her now is because I can't stop thinking about her. And part of the reason why I'm talking about this is because I couldn't and cannot until now stop thinking about her, and I want to kind of reflect on everything that's fucking happened between me and her. I just want to put it all out there somewhere. And I was like, I have a fucking video journal YouTube channel, why not here? But yeah, I was a transfer student in a school where everybody already knew each other, so that's always great, right? I remember I talked to her in my first few days before I even was into her. I remember I talked with her quite frequently. We even had an inside joke together, and I'm gonna talk about this later, but oh my god, I wish I could have went back in time and just approached her way differently, because I already had a head start. We were already friends, I would say. One day we had PE classes and our PE topic lesson thing was basketball. We got grouped in groups and we were supposed to play basketball. I had no experience in the sport. I had grown up watching basketball on the television during Sundays with my father, so I did have a sort of fond connection to basketball. I knew when someone was good at it. That pitiful day, I got grouped up in a team that's against hers, and I had played against her, and at that time I had already tried maybe 4 rounds already, so I was getting used to the game. I started knowing the rules and I was getting better at it. And then she comes into play and wow, she's really good at basketball. And I don't know what's so attractive about competitiveness and being good at something, but after that, I went ham. I went rogue. I realized just now I haven't given a name for this girl. Let's call her Gem. After the game, I started screaming from the bleachers, "Gem! I have a big fat crush on you!" And over and over and over again, every 30 seconds or so, I would just scream, "Gem, I have a crush on you!" And then whenever she would pass by us, I'd go, "Yo, I have a crush on you." I just kept saying that, and I guess the more that I said it, the more I started to believe it, because after that day, I was completely bejeweled. She was the apple of my eye, brother. I started to tell her I had a crush on her even outside of PE class. I started doing really random stuff for her, like getting her water bottle for her, fetching her papers, whatever the fuck. My infatuation with her grew to the point where I started buying her stuff. I noticed that her favorite drink was this apple lemon tea drink that you could get from our school cafeteria. And so every morning I would go to our school cafeteria and buy that drink, and then leave that drink on her desk with a note every day, with a note saying "Have a good day," or "Don't forget to smile," or whatever the hell. And it was really obvious that it was me. I mean, I was screaming, "I have a crush on you," every single second. At that point, one of the things I was best known for was that I had a crush on Gem. And Gem, she's not your typical girl. I mean, if she was, I probably wouldn't have liked her this much. She's very, dare I say, There I use this word, nonchalant. She was a very nonchalant girl, and it was apparent. You ask anyone, like, describe Jem in one word. Almost all of them will say nonchalant. She was nonchalant, very timid, cold, distant, all that good stuff. She was very adamant about things, very stubborn person actually. If she didn't like something, she would let you know. She would immediately try to escape from it. She was funny. It's part of the reason why I fell for her. She was really funny, and even though she was cold, whenever I saw her hang out with her friends, the friends she actually liked talking to, and every time I would get a glimpse of her enjoying her time together with them, laughing, God, it would send me down. It would send me down. And I was always very jealous of those friends. Later on, I kind of become closer with those said friends because out of jealousy, honestly, I was jealous that they could make her laugh and I couldn't. I was jealous that they could make her laugh and I had so much struggle even getting her to smile. And I would get closer and closer with those friends because I knew it'd be the closest thing I'd have to her. As time went on, I managed to eventually kind of slowly chip away at her walls. She didn't run away from me anymore. She didn't shy away from a conversation. And I was enjoying it. I was loving it, honestly. And one of the main things that became, it's sad to say this, but our bond, and you'll find out why it's sad to say, but one of our bonds was me trying to desperately take at least one picture of her. I had my phone. I wasn't supposed to in that school, but I snuck in my phone and I'd be the class vlogger and I'd always try to get a photo or a video of her and she'd always run away, and that was one of our bonds. And even my classmates got in on it, like they'd always try to get a picture of me and her together, and it just fueled my infatuation with her even more. Every day I liked her more and more, and it didn't help that she was quite literally my type. She was quiet, reserved, sporty. She played all the sports out there. She had glasses, and she didn't really live to please other people, which is something I really like. She was her own person, and that really called out to me, I guess. So as time went on, I tried to get closer and closer to her. On Christmas, I actually asked her on Christmas, please, it's Christmas. During the Christmas party, can I at least that they only get as much photos and videos of you? And eventually I got her to say yes. And you don't know how big of a thing a yes was from her when everything else she would say to me was no. Every other word that she would say to me was no. And this was a big deal because she hated pictures, she hated videos, and she said yes to both those things to me. To me, and especially to me. That's big. We got matching plushies, and yeah, we got grouped up in the Christmas party in a game, and the game was like, you have to stand on this paper, and each round you fold the paper one time until it becomes like this tiny little piece of paper you can stand on. We got grouped up into that, and this is one of my most embarrassing moments ever probably, but I took that opportunity for her to carry me, cradle style, and we won. She's strong as hell. That's another thing about her. She's strong as hell, and we won. God. I forgot to mention, though, there was this girl. I would say it was one of Jem's, best friends, I guess. Not best friends, but, like, best friends. She was one of the closest, and, God, I hated her so much. Deep inside me, I loved her. I was best friends with her once, too, but deep inside me, I hated her. I was so jealous of her. I couldn't see what the fuck she had that I didn't. Why the hell she could charm Jem so easily. Why the hell she can get Jem to say yes to her ideas and not mine. Never mine. And another reason actually why I hated her so much is because she would, after the whole debacle of me screaming to Jem that I had a crush on her every 30 seconds, this girl would go on to ask Jem if she had a crush on her. And every single time, without a beat, even if it was just a mutter, even if it was just a whisper, Jem would say yes. To what? Get on my nerves? That pissed me off so much because each day my feelings grew realer and realer. It would hurt more and more, even if it just started out as a joke. Every time they would do it, and they would do it frequently. Also, always in front of me. They made sure I was watching. They made sure I was listening whenever they did that. And it was like, yeah, thanks guys. Don't have to rub it in. Each day that went by, I grew farther and farther more in love with her, and also fucking sadder and sadder because she did not seem to like me. Like every time I would think, oh, she's finally warming up to me. Wrong! She wasn't. I even at one point tried to distract myself with other people. I got into different situationships, but I would never leave those stupid feelings for her behind. Oh fuck. Let me just mention this one other fucking thing. I would always ask for her jacket. My shameless self would always ask for her jacket, and I think the reason I did it was because that was one of the things she would actually say yes to. Like every single time, that's the only thing she would ever say yes to, is if I asked for her jacket. And honestly, I started forgetting my own jacket just to borrow hers. But it would feel so good just to wear a piece of her around and for everybody to see, because then it felt like my feelings for her were actually being taken seriously. I would chat her every single day, and all I would get would be like really short messages or really late replies. It was tough, man. I was in the fucking battlefield each day with my feelings for her. And February the 14th comes, and everyone's getting a Valentine. Everyone I knew was getting a Valentine. All of my friends were like, oh my god, I have a Valentine. And I'm always like, great, good for you. I wanted a Valentine. So, guess what I did? I asked her to be my Valentine. And guess what the fuck she said? Yes. This was another thing with her. I noticed every other question was a no. The simplest of things was a no. Me wanting to get closer with her was a no. But whenever it was things like, can I borrow your jacket? Yes. Knowing, by the way, I need to mention that trading jackets in the Philippines, that's romantic. If you trade jackets with another person, people are gonna think you're dating. So when it was like really serious shit like this, she would say yes. Can I have your jacket? Yes. Can you be my Valentine? Yes. And what was weirdest about this was we weren't real Valentines. I asked her to be my fake Valentine. I couldn't do it for realsies. I asked her to be my fake Valentine because I told her how everyone has a Valentine's and I feel bad. So she was like, yeah, I'll be your Valentine. I thought she'd say no. I fucking honest to God thought she'd say no. And so Valentine comes around and I don't expect to get a gift from her. I receive all these really nice gifts from everybody else. We're having a great time. We're taking Polaroids because there was a Polaroid booth. I'm getting chocolates. I'm getting gifts. I'm getting letters. I'm getting roses, flowers, all that good stuff. Nothing from her. So I'm like, okay. Yeah, no, I just asked her to be my fake Valentine. It makes sense. Then my friend comes up to me. She gives me chocolates. I'm confused because she already gave me chocolates and we already seen each other many times before. We hung out at the Polaroid booth. Who's this from? Oh, Jem. A whole bar of chocolates. And At the time, I didn't like chocolates. I love them now, and I don't ever like to think that Gem was the reason that I started liking chocolates, but I didn't like chocolates, but as soon as I got home, I fucking ate it all. And outside of school, while we were waiting for our parents to come and pick us up, I was like, why didn't you give me flowers? You know, as a joke. And as a joke, she replied, next year. I took that next year, I took those 2 words with me in my heart for the rest of the year. Until now, it's been 2 years, still have not forgotten that fucking promise. She might have said it offhandedly, but God, I will remember that for the rest of my life, and I will forever be waiting for those flowers. Because even though I was only a fake Valentine, why did you give me these chocolates? It was a big bar too. I felt sick after eating it. It was big. After that, we got closer. She started saying yes to my whims more often. It felt like we were actually going somewhere. And I think this period was one of my one of my peak moments in that year. Shit she wouldn't do for other people, she did for me. She shared her drinks, her foods. We shared an indirect kiss, but I don't know if she ever thought of it that way. And one time I really wanted a jelly drink from the school cafeteria, because our cafeteria sells like these jelly drinks, and I was fucking obsessed with them. I complained about this, and like I always am, I joked to her, going, Gem, why don't you buy me anything? Buy me a jelly drink, please. You know, as a joke. So tell me why at lunch, I was at the cafeteria with my friends. We were hidden away in one of the last row tables. Tell me why we see her running the fastest she's ever ran before into the cafeteria. And as we see her fucking zooming past, leaving, there was a jelly drink in her hand. You blinked and you missed it type of stuff. That's how fast she was going, and she didn't even notice that I was there. I saw her. And so I procrastinated going back to our classroom that day. I procrastinated so much, but the first thing I look for is my desk. And on my desk, I see that damn jelly drink. It doesn't sound like much, but that meant a lot at that time. That meant so much. But time passed by, and I had to start telling my most important friends that I was going to Japan, that I was leaving, that I wasn't staying. And I had made so many good friends. This school was amazing. I think one of my best years. Oh, I want a side story. And then another experience that I experienced with her was in one of our classes. It was like a morality class, but we had this thing where we would write down names of the most memorable people in your life or your best friends, and then you write them a little message, because it was almost graduation, and I guess the teacher wanted to end the school year with good things to leave behind. And I wrote down so many messages, and I wrote a message for Jem. At this point, I like to tell my friends that I was getting over her, because, I had to move to Japan. I had to leave everybody, so I had to get over her. Even so, I left one little paper behind that had a message I was meant to give to her. At this point, I don't remember anymore how she picked it up, but she did. She saw it, and then she saw me looking at her see it, so she could tell who it was from. At this point, I was stabbing myself in the head, because I was like, no fucking way she's gonna, write to me, right? That's why I never, gave it to her. But again, somehow she picked it up and saw it. I collect, all my messages, the messages people sent to me, and then we were done. The teacher was like, go back to your places. Guess what I see on my table? A message from her. As I saw it, I crumpled it in my hand immediately and hid it. Like if anyone saw it, it would make it any less real. And that meant so much to me at the time, because I thought she didn't give a shit about me, and she wrote on there about how I was one of the most memorable people in her life and that she was glad she met me. And that meant a lot because I cannot exaggerate to you how much I felt every day that she hated me, that she didn't like me, at least not in the way that I liked her, and how much of a burden I felt to her. I felt so annoying all the time. But yeah, and then graduation came. And on the last day, the night before, I had written a 6-page letter to her, basically confessing my feelings in a more official and serious way, because the only reason she ever knew she liked me was because I kept screaming it to her. I basically wrote in that letter that if she didn't like me back, she doesn't have to respond, or I more so told her to not respond if she didn't like me back. I just sent that letter to her as a way of letting go of it all because I was moving. I had to leave these feelings behind, and I knew that she didn't like me. I was sure that she didn't like me. So I told her not to send a letter back. Guess what I get a day later? A long ass message from her telling me that she likes me back, that she could never forget me even if she tried, that I was always on her mind, that she likes me too. She always has. I couldn't believe this. It was bittersweet because I was moving away, but I wanted to keep whatever the fuck this was because I had worked so hard for it. Honestly, I had spent so many grueling months liking her, dealing with liking her, trying so hard to interact with her, make her interact with me. I thought she hated me, but she's telling me she likes me. What was I supposed to do about that? We tried to keep in contact after that, but it never really worked out. We both became busy, and honestly, I was ready to let go. So I did. I deactivated all my accounts, hid away from all the people I knew in that school, only kept in contact with the people that I genuinely cared about there, and I've never heard from her again. I don't even think she tried to message me while I deactivated. I don't want to check. It's gonna fucking break my heart, obviously. But I haven't even mentioned the part where I had no money in our sports festival, so she gave her food to me, like without a word, and the fact that she even noticed. Nobody noticed that I didn't have any food. Everybody was just eating happily. But then she tapped my shoulder, gave me her untouched fries, and gave it to me, right? Or that time when, because I had a nickname for her. I had my very own nickname for her. Even though her name was already very unique, you could make so many nicknames out of it. I gave her a nickname, but she never had one for me. So I told her, call me Sugar Honey Bunch Plum Bear Sugar Baby. And she was like, that's too long. And so I was like, okay, then shorten it. And then she set my nickname to Plum. That made me go crazy for so long. So many of my friends were convinced that she liked me back, but I was the only one who wasn't because I knew firsthand how she interacted with me, and that's not how you interact with someone you like. But I guess she did. But then we go to present day, right? And just recently, I think last year, I was remembering her with an old friend, and then she told me, actually, I have something to tell you, but it might make you upset. And the topic was her, so I assumed it was about her, and I was like, how bad could it be, right? I've been upset so many times before by Jem. She has made me cry so much already, and I thought that time I was over her because we haven't talked in a long time, and so I said, go ahead. Yeah, no, the other day I just heard from our other friend, our other classmate, that she told her that she was straight. That she was just joking. So, what the fuck was all of that? And it confuses me so much because she's not the type to lie. She's the type to hate liars. But what was that letter? What was all that shit you did for me? All those words you told me. All those sweet fucking words. What the fuck was that then? Was that all a joke? Was all I was a joke for you? I wrote so many songs about her, before and after. And to this day, I sometimes still do. She will never leave my mind, no matter what the fuck I do. And at this point, I've just accepted it. But God, why did it have to leave on such a bad note? She could have been a good memory. And even now, as I was told that information, I still think of her fondly. I still think of what could have been if I stayed, but I guess I wouldn't have lasted because apparently I was just a joke. I was just a joke to her.